with some recruiting since we last left you at 2 o'clock yesterday. LSU has pulled in a pair of commitments. JoJo Stone, an athlete for the next class, about to start his junior year, pledged to LSU last night. And Kaleb Jackson from right here in Baton Rouge, the running back from Liberty Magnet High School, made his commitment public on his Instagram at 10:30. He is staying home to play at LSU, so Frank Wilson and company pull in the top 2 running backs in this state. I didn't realize this until I saw from Jarrett Roser on Twitter, and I would have seen it if I'd have just paid attention. But LSU hasn't pulled in-state running backs since the Ty Davis-Price, John Emery class. Obviously, Armani Goodwin and Corey Kiner, outside of the state guys. You had a year without one there, and you pull in 2 from in this state, which has been the MO of this program for a very long time. I watched a lot of Kaleb Jackson's tape over the last few hours, and I like what I see. And I also like the fact that I went to A&M message boards, and they were talking about him. That's a guy that A&M staff was very interested in. Mm-hmm. Alabama was very much in the mix. They had a couple of their recruiting writers put in crystal balls today, so clearly they're talking to their staff and understand that that's – so whether you love the guy or don't and you're a Joe fan, 4-star running back, some probably say he's going to be a Heisman winner. Some probably say, I don't know about this guy. That's the way recruiting is. Mm-hmm. Fact of the matter is, Alabama staff took notice and A&M staff took notice, and LSU staff came out on top for him. I like that. I mean, because if I'm going to get cranky when they come in here and pull somebody out of the state, I got to be pumped when we keep them in there.
Yeah, you definitely do. And I think this is all in line with what all this coaching staff hadn't planned from the beginning of, when they first took over the job and, getting to work in the transfer portal, but then attacking high school recruiting. I think they've done that at a phenomenal level. And anytime you get the 2 best backs in the state, I think that definitely bodes well for the university. And so like we talked about yesterday, I don't think there's a world where Emery or Kane will be back on this roster next year. So getting these 2 backs is going to, work huge dividends for depth purposes. And also, I think both of these kids can really play and contribute early on. I think for me, Trey is a guy that's, similar to Armani Goodwin. You can put him in space. He's very small and very crafty and really hard to bring down. I think Caleb's a bigger runner, more smooth, definitely has the speed to, break some big runs. And I think, getting them in this Denbrock offense, they're going to find ways to get these guys the ball in space, and I think they can do some damage.
Yeah, look, Holly's a little smaller but shifty and can really go, and I like what I saw from Jackson. He's big, fast, and strong. There's no doubt. I don't know if he's the shiftiest back I've ever seen, but he does make some cuts, make some guys miss, and he turns on the speed big time. So he's got another year in this state to develop and play his final year, and then he stays home to Baton Rouge. JoJo Stone, I'm fascinated by highlight tapes a lot. Sometimes, more often than not, just with the player that is coming in, but sometimes there are some other things that I'm always fascinated when high schools decide to punt and kick the football on a kickoff to the kid who's playing D1 in the SEC. Like, don't do that. There are like 10 guys on this coverage unit that are going to be fixing cars and selling insurance like me. Like, do not kick to these guys. It makes me laugh so hard. But JoJo Stone, the thing that was funny watching his tape was how many positions he's playing. They're snapping it to him. He's throwing it. He's going out in the slot. He's playing running back. Wasn't quite Marcel Brooks, which was the craziest tape I'd ever seen. He was playing running back. He was playing slot receiver. He was playing safety. He was playing linebacker, defensive end. Marcel Brooks' tape was crazy. But Stone is incredibly versatile. I personally don't know what position they project him at. We'll ask Billy coming up at 12:30, but you had a really, really good athlete. I mean, Russell Gage did everything for his high school team, that type of deal. Tre'Davious White did everything for his high school team. It's not totally uncommon, but I'm just not sure where they project him. I've seen defense. I've seen wide receiver. I'm not sure, but he's a really good athlete with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, he really is. And to me, it's and this is high praise for a high school player, but he kind of reminds me of Russell Shepard a little bit. Slimmer guy, smaller, but a real athlete. Like this kid, JoJo, is a big-time athlete. You can put him anywhere, and it says it on his highlights, a Swiss Army knife. Like that kid, you can put him anywhere. To me, I think he probably play receiver when he gets to college. That much make you miss ability in open space. Being at the size that he is, I think he's too small to be a running back. So I will put him at receiver at the next level and put him out there in space and let him make plays because he's really dangerous in open field. That kid can make you miss, and he got speed to burn as well.
Big thing over the last, because in this month LSU's gotten 9 commitments, and we're on the 12th of the month, so they're almost popping one a day at this point. So it is a type of momentum deal, and again, it's not like a draft where you go identify guys and you pick him in the first round and the second round. Some of it's coincidental. Today, you got a commitment from Kaleb Jackson because it's his mom's birthday, and he wanted to commit on his mom's birthday. So it's not like it's a plan from the staff to pull. But there is some juice going in social media. And I've taken note of Jackson Howard, who committed to LSU back on.
It was last week?
It was on the. Where's the commitment date? Whatever. Oh, here it is. 7-1. So it was the first of the month. But he's been in the boat now for 2 weeks, and he is being very active on Twitter. He just tweeted out, "Got another elite back in our class, such and such."
Yeah.
And he's got these edits that people are making of the guys in his signing class. And again, nothing's official until things are on the dotted line and all that kind of stuff. And I'm right there with everybody because I used to be the guy who was locked into recruiting stuff 365 days a year, couldn't get enough. And as of now, we have to talk about this stuff for sure. In the summer, when things happen, it's relevant. But just show me when the ink dries, and I'll tell you what I think about the class overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's something to accumulating a good class by making that class connected and together. And Jackson Howard, even though he's from Minneapolis, appears to kind of be doing that. I'm excited to ask Billy about that in 25 minutes, but it's an important thing.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think for me, being around this staff and being around Coach Frank Wilson, that they've dominated the state. When Frank was here on this staff, they dominate the state of Louisiana. And so I think for this class, you're seeing a lot more people all around the country. But I know what Frank wants to do. He wants to put, an ironclad fence around the entire state and hold it down. And so when you got kids from out of the state really helping in that pursuit, it builds momentum. And I think they're trying to recreate that fam type environment that we had in 2011 and getting the class closer together. I think that bodes well on so many levels. You're coming in closer together. Your workout's going to be stronger. You got to fight for your teammates, fight for your brothers. And obviously, like you said, it builds momentum. So guys who are thinking about LSU, it's like, man, if I go to LSU, oh, wow, that class is insane. We could probably do some damage here. So I think all this momentum is great for the team. And I never had worries about it. I thought, the staff that he put together, I thought could recruit extremely well. And you're starting to see that day by day with what they're doing with this recruiting cycle.
And I couldn't help but notice Coach Arsenault over at LSU in his first year here on the staff tweeted out, "Baton Rouge boys, I know y'all are watching. Got to stay home." I think that's targeted towards one 5-star guy right down the street from us. And when you're looking at bringing in a kid from Liberty Magnet with the commitment that you got today from Kaleb Jackson, and you realize that trying to get Shelton Sampson to stay home, and you head out on Twitter and kind of blast that stuff out. I don't love it when fans tweet a lot at recruits. I've made that clear the last couple of days, but I do follow kind of the ebbs and flows from the coaches' staff and then from the players and the connectivity within the class. And I think all eyes are over on Catholic High now at this point.
Oh, yeah. I think that would be, the straw that breaks the camel's back for the country. If LSU gets Sheldon Sampson in this cycle and you pair him with Jaylen Brown and all the other recruits that they put together in this class, I think that's a top 5 class automatically just with that commitment. And then now you got probably the second best player in the state in this class. That talk about momentum. Yeah, I think Shelton's the last missing piece. If you get him in this class, I feel like there's a world where you can almost stand pat. I know you got to get some offensive linemen in it, but you get Sheldon Sampson in this class, this is probably one of the better classes Coach Kelly's put together.
LSU up to now 15 commitments, 10 4-star commitments, 1 5-star, and 4 4-stars. So 15 commitments. Look, again, that's 9 in 12 days. Things were looking skinny there at the end of June. But as the calendar turns to July, as you figured it probably would, as camps wrap up and guys are a few weeks out from starting their practice and want to enjoy their senior year with their teammates, you figure this is the time of the year where more often than not the dominoes begin to fall, and that's certainly been the case with LSU. Georgia's now up to 13 commitments. Alabama's up at 11. Those are the 2 schools that obviously have recruited better than anybody else over the last few years, and they were right there with LSU when we're looking at, well, they got 6 commitments. What's the deal? And they're all kind of catching up at this point. And the schools that were up there at the top, like Northwestern and some of these schools that were at the top of the recruiting rankings because they had Northwestern's already got 20 kids committed, and that's why they were the number 4 class in the country at a certain point. Now it's starting to look more like it. You got Ohio State at 1, Notre Dame at 2, Clemson at 3, Texas at 4, Tennessee at 5, Penn State at 6, LSU at 7, Georgia at 8, Arkansas at 9 with 21 commitments. I'll have you. And then Miami, Oklahoma, and Alabama. Something tells me the Tide probably going to jump over Arkansas in the recruiting rankings when it's all said and done.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I talked to me. we got to see what Holstein's going to do. Like, they just got a quarterback yesterday. Is he going to stay in that class? Like, what they're going to do? Like, I saw Alabama. I think it was yesterday before they got to commit. They were, like, down at 18. I'm like, well, I've never seen Alabama at 18. That probably won't stay that way long. So, Nick's going to Nick. They're going to have another recruiting class. But, yeah, I'm happy with where we are right now. And I still think we're going to cover some ground here as this thing keeps going on.
So, Dylan Lonergan is the commitments you're talking about for Alabama, 4-star quarterback from Georgia that they got committed yesterday, top 100 player, ranked as number 9 quarterback in the country, Holstein at number 8. And I'm not insinuating that Holstein's going to pull off his Alabama commitment. I don't think that he is. But the implication is always, what's going to go on with LSU on this show. And people were asking me yesterday, like, well, is Holstein back on the table? Can you? It's like, so here's the deal. I personally don't think that quarterback is a priority for LSU in this class. If they signed one, would I be furious? No, not at all. But if they don't, usually that would be a red flag. It's not anymore because every quarterback that was a starter last year in the SEC transferred. Do you feel the same way? It's not necessary anymore to sign one in every class, especially when you've got a freshman Garrett Nussmeier and a freshman Walker Howard on your roster.
Yeah, and I think pretty much you can say Walker's a redshirt freshman. I think he's going to be going into next season as a freshman again. So this cycle is not the end of the world. But I think only reason it would give me a little cause for concern is depth purposes. You want to have at least 3 or 4 on the roster because, like you said, if one of these guys or 2 of these guys leave, then now you're in a world where you only got 2 scholarship quarterbacks. So that'd be my only concern. But also, it goes full fold. Like, you can go get guys in the transfer portal if 2 guys leave. So it's not as big of a deal, and I think a lot of these guys will change their mind. If not before signing day, they'll change it next year. So we can't get too wrapped up, especially with the quarterbacks. I think that's going to be the biggest revolving door in college sports. Quarterbacks are going to be going from team to team, and I think you can't really get too wrapped up on signing day.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Is like, yeah, you would like to have a quarterback in every class, and you'd love to have 4 really good quarterbacks on your roster like you could have once upon a time. Those days are over. I mean, if you're the 3rd quarterback on a roster, you just leave unless it's your first year and you're okay with sitting. And that's apparently what the case is with Walker Howard. But, like, you can't have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. And, yeah, it's terrifying if you go in with 3 quarterbacks and, 2 get hurt. Like, that's a bad deal. But that's just this day and age. So as long as you don't have a catastrophic injury season where 3 guys get hurt in a year, you're going to be okay. Even if 2 guys leave after a year's over and you're left with 1, you can sign 1 and pick 1 up from the transfer portal and then just move on into the next year. I think 3 is probably realistic for most teams. LSU sitting here right now with 4, which is great. It's probably not realistic to always have that, but unless you have a season where it just goes off the wires like last year where LSU ends up with a kid in the transfer portal, one that wants the red shirt and one that's hurt, which Miles was hurt at that point, then you got to start a wide receiver at quarterback. But, like, at that point, who cares? But it's just a different world. No, I don't think that LSU has to have a quarterback in this class. And so we'll ask that as a Citizens Bank poll question of the day. First time I've ever gotten to that in the first segment. Does LSU have to sign a quarterback in this current signing class? Yes or no? We'll get your answers there at the end of the show.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.